Well, it's easier than you think to live with less waste and more joy. The founder of the Zero Waste Collective, which is based in Guelph, Tara McKenna, joins us now with practical tips from her brand new book, Don't Be Trashy. Good morning to you, Tara.
Good morning, Annette. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And after looking at your website, I'm like, okay, I can see why you needed to write a book, because that website is chock full of ideas.
Thank you. Yes. And actually, I put 10 years of my life into that book, so I'm hoping to make it easier for other people.
Yes, and it is easy. And you talk a lot in the book about just being imperfect, but trying to do things.
Yes, exactly. I think, the environmental issues out there can be daunting. And even, for me, a lot of people over the years, as I've put it publicly on social media, have, criticized things not being done well enough or whatever. And I don't want anyone to feel that way. At the end of the day, it's about, living your best life, reducing your waste in a way that fits your circumstances, your budget, your lifestyle preferences, all of those things.
There's a lot of great exercises in the book, including about the first one is a trash audit. So find out, what do you throw away?
Exactly. Yeah. Because, how do you know how to reduce your waste unless you know what you're tossing into your recycling bin, your trash bin, and compost if you have it.
And that all starts out with what we buy, and we buy too much.
Yes. And one of the benefits of this lifestyle is if we start to buy less, we're going to see, we have a lot more money and savings that we can invest in other things.
I think a lot of this, as I was reading the book, I'm like, I hearken back to my grandparents, because the way that they, would save things and reuse things, I'm like, oh, it's all coming around again, and it's all now a lot more practical.
It is. And you know what? I really like that, going back to the, previous generations, but we're putting a modern twist on it, right? Because we've got technology, we have social media. So the nice thing is there's a lot of online communities that can help you share. You can join the sharing economy, for example, and join perhaps a buy nothing group on Facebook where literally you don't have to spend any money and you can get some of the resources you need, some of the products that you might not even have to buy.
I am part of a group like that, and I'm amazed at some things that people need that I have, that it's like, oh, I never thought that anybody, it's sitting there in a corner, what am I going to do with it? But yeah, you're right, it's that sharing economy. It's also about really thinking about saving for money. And again, I go back to the previous generation about, you saved for things before you bought them, or maybe you bought them secondhand.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we're living in a credit card culture these days where we can just whip out our wallet and buy whatever we want. And that unfortunately often results in debt. So instead of collecting debt, it's like, okay, can we save for something? But not just save for something, because things, can be quite cheap these days. And oftentimes, and not always, but things that are less expensive and cheap can be, not longer lasting, right? They won't last a few years, perhaps even, and then you're tossing them and buying something to replace it really quickly.
And you think a lot about fast fashion when you talk about that, right? So things that maybe are really cheap and I might wear it this season kind of thing, whereas opposed to buying something even vintage or retro that is going to last a lot longer and not going to end up being donated again.
Exactly. Yeah. So think about what your heavy hitters are. And honestly, I always say to look in your laundry bin, because if you check out what's in your laundry basket, you're going to figure out what you're wearing all of the time. And those are typically your heavy hitters. And your heavy hitters are what you want to put into your wardrobe instead of the pieces that you may or may not even wear once, right? A lot of people probably can relate to having, pieces in their closet that still have tags on them. And so it's about finding pieces that we're actually going to enjoy.
Okay, Tara McKenna, Don't Be Trashy, a practical guide to living with less waste and more joy. Thank you for sharing your book. It's out now.
Thank you.